So, good evening to all of you. Clear. A brief introduction. Clear. I'm Rashid and I'll be taking your section on history in general studies. Clear. And today we are going to start with a very important section, that is history of modern India. Quite interesting, quite engrossing in nature, and one of the most predictable topic for UPSC examination, both for prelims as well as for mains examination. So today we'll start with history of modern India. First of all, as a ritual, very important thing to be done, we'll try to understand the syllabus prescribed by UPSC for modern Indian history. Clear? In fact, whenever you start with any module, clear, always try to understand the syllabus given by UPSC, because that decides the circumference within which we have to rotate. Clear? There's no limit to knowledge. Clear? But UPSC has come out with a very well-defined syllabus that needs to be decoded and understood properly. Clear? There's one thing that has been given by UPSC very clearly. Clear? First of all, we'll try to understand the syllabus. I'll let you know the approach briefly. Clear? After understanding and decoding the syllabus, then we'll move on to discuss about major topics starting from the very beginning, and in between, in course of our discussion, we'll be discussing some questions which has been asked in prelims and mains as well, to understand the trend of UPSC examination and even to predict what can be asked in coming examination for you. Clear? So obviously the previous year questions or PYQs serves the purpose of understanding the mind of UPSC examination so that we can predict the question in coming years. Questions normally are not repeated, clear, but trend indicate certain amount of inferences to be drawn so that we can predict the coming examination. Clear? So this is one thing to be done. We'll be doing it in course of our discussion, both for prelims and mains examination. Clear? So first of all, let us try to understand the syllabus. Clear? Are you all comfortable with English, or you want me to mix some Hindi also? English? Thank you so much. Clear? Okay. So it becomes tough. Clear? So if you're comfortable, English is better? English is better. Clear? If any word is not clear, let me know. I'll explain you in Hindi as well. Clear? तो कुछ भी आपको अगर समझ में ना आए, आप मुझे बताएं. I'll just translate it in Hindi also. Don't worry about it. Clear? So don't hesitate. Keep on asking. Clear? And another important thing. Clear? Class should be interactive in nature. If you feel to ask any question, please don't hesitate. Ask question freely. Clear? Because that is the ultimate utility of the classes. Clear? When you are in physical classes, offline classes, the best difference between online and offline classes is here you can put up the questions as well, and your questions will help others as well. Clear? So don't worry. Clear? Just feel free to ask question wherever you want to. I'm there to answer. There's no problem with that. Clear? No question is illogical at this stage of life, because all of you are very serious one. Clear? So obviously feel free to ask questions. Clear? So shall we start? कुछ भी समझ में ना आए आप मुझे बताएंगे, मैं ट्रांसलेट कर दूंगा हिंदी में भी. Don't worry about it. Clear? So let us understand first of all the syllabus for UPSC examination, and want you to write also. Clear? I'll be giving dictation also. First of all, syllabus should be there, even though you must be having syllabus of all the 4 papers. Clear? Do understand clearly first. I'll dictate. Don't worry about it. Clear? History as a section is included in GS paper 1. We all know in mains examination we have 4 papers for general studies. In paper 1 we have GS, or including history section. What are the topics mentioned? Clear? First topic is related to art and culture, and the very first question that you will be writing in mains examination would be on art and culture. Be prepared for that. Clear? So first topic is related to art and culture, that will be taking on at later point of time. Clear? Second topic is related to history of modern India. What exactly says the syllabus says? Clear? The syllabus in GS paper 1 says history of modern India from mid 18th century, covering events like significant issues, events and personalities till contemporary times. Clear? So first line of the syllabus says history of modern India from the mid 18th century, which means 1750 AD onwards. Clear? Significant issues, events and personalities till contemporary times, clear? And we get questions in mains examination on personalities off and on, clear? Last time in mains examination there was comparison between Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore, clear? You get questions on personalities. We'll be discussing some of them very elaborately as well, clear? This is the first line of the syllabus, clear? मैं हिंदी में समझाऊं आपको, clear? आधुनिक भारत का इतिहास 18वीं शताब्दी के मध्य से, clear? That is mid of 18th century. Significant issues, events and personalities, clear? The most important personality of 18th century being Raja Jai Singh of Amber, modern Jaipur, clear? Another personality being Tipu Sultan in Mysore. 19th century, the most important personality being Raja Ram Mohan Roy. 20th century, the most important personality being Mahatma, clear? And 21st century, the most important personality being the Prime Minister, clear? Cannot be denied, clear? Yug Purush, clear? Has been accepted even by the Vice President also, clear? Some of his steps are very important. In history, we'll discuss his relevance also. He had derived many things from history, clear? In fact, we'll see the sense of nationalism that is going on in India as of now. This sense of nationalism is very much equivalent to extremist nationalism which was going on in the beginning of 20th century, clear? So extremist form of nationalism represented by leaders like Tilak, Aurobindo Ghosh is being replicated as of now, clear? That is why last to last in prelims there was a question that on 7th of August every year we celebrate National Handloom Day. On 7th of August 1905, India launched Swadeshi movement. Two statements were asked in prelims, clear? Because our Prime Minister started to celebrate National Handloom Day from 2015 to mark the commemoration of Swadeshi movement way back in 1905, clear? Things are quite logical. You need to understand these major concepts to understand the predictability of coming time, clear? So this is one thing to be understood, so personalities, clear? Second topic of modern Indian history is Indian national movement, clear? Major contributors oblique contributions from different parts of the country, clear? So gone are the days when questions were asked only from non-cooperation, civil disobedience. These days the questions are largely from regional participants from different parts of the country who contributed significantly, like the tribal communities. That is why we celebrate National Adivasi Day also, again started by our Prime Minister, clear? Adivasi Gaurav Divas to mark the contribution of leaders like Birsa Munda, clear? Will come to them as well, clear? So obviously the next topic is Indian national movement, contributors, contributions from different parts of the country. This is second topic, clear? Third topic under modern Indian history says, clear? Post-independent reorganization and consolidation within the country, clear? After India became independent in 1947, we started to reorganize. We decided to consolidate large amount of economy, polity and social system, and that was done by leaders like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru and other prominent leaders like Acharya Vinoba Bhave, Karpuri Thakur, who has been recently awarded with Bharat Ratna by Government of India, clear? Everything has got huge relevance, clear? We need to understand post-independent reorganization and consolidation that goes on till contemporary times. The latest configuration being Daman and Diu, being given the status of the Union territories in 2020, and Jammu and Kashmir, the special provision being abolished and given the status of two Union territories, Jammu and Kashmir along with Ladakh, clear? We'll come to these developments as well till present times, clear? These are three broad topics to be covered in modern Indian history for mains examination. If it is done elaborately, it will automatically cover the modern history of prelims examination, because in prelims syllabus there is only one line, clear? History of India and Indian national movement, clear? So one line out of 6 topics, one topic is history of India and Indian national movement, and every year 15 to 17 questions are there only from history and culture in prelims. That is almost 1/5 of the total paper, clear? So you cannot afford to take this section anyway lightly, clear? You will get questions 1/5 of the total paper itself out of 100 questions in prelims, and in mains out of 250 marks, minimum of 125 marks from history and culture section, clear? So this is very clear. The syllabus is clear first of all. Shall I repeat the syllabus first of all? You want to write the syllabus, do write the syllabus, is important. There's a ritual to be done, clear? As we proceed in world history, we'll discuss the syllabus, art and culture, we'll discuss the syllabus. First of all, modern India, clear? So, write heading first of all, history of modern India, history of modern India, history of modern India, clear? Modern India, right? Next heading, syllabus for mains examination, syllabus for mains examination. Syllabus for mains examination, write the topic, clear? History of modern India, history of modern India from the mid 18th century, from the mid 18th century dash significant issues, events and personalities. So this is to be covered, clear? We'll start with this topic today, clear? Significant issues, events and personalities. My writing is clear to all of you. It's not good, I know. You have to decipher a bit, clear? Clear. Mid 18th century. Coming to second topic, Indian national movement, Indian national movement dash contributors oblique contributions from different parts of the country, from different parts of the country. Very important one, clear? National movement. Third topic to be covered is post-independent reorganization and consolidation within the country. Consolidation within the country. These are the topics, clear? Which should be very clear to all of you, clear? In fact, आप सबके पास syllabus होगा, clear? But again, I'll let you know, whenever you start any module, in the very first page, do write the syllabus, because syllabus should be thorough in your mind, clear? If you understand the syllabus, first of all, things are much more easier, clear? So, post-independent reorganization, consolidation within the country, clear? We will cover all these topics in the class, clear? This is about modern Indian history. In prelims, there's only one line, history of India and Indian national movement, clear? So, history of India means ancient India, medieval India, first part of modern India, that is from mid 18th century, and then Indian national movement, clear? So, it includes everything, clear? So, prelims as well, but in mains, they have clearly written the syllabus. It should be clear first of all, clear? Is it fine first of all? All of you have written. Is it fine? Now, let us start, clear? Now, what would be the approach? Please. What would be the approach? I'll let you know, clear? First of all, we'll try to understand things. Then I'll give you dictation also. In between, don't write. I take the responsibility of making you write everything. Dictation is important, clear? But first of all, try to understand everything very clearly, clear? Understanding is important, clear? So we'll understand the history of modern India from mid 18th century, clear? Hey, thank you. Okay, thank you, clear? Okay, so just understand first of all the background, clear? I'll let you know the background of modern Indian history. We need to understand, clear? First of all, one question that you all should ask, clear? Why the syllabus starts from the mid-18th century? What happened in the mid-18th century that it transformed Indian society from medieval society to modern society? Why history of modern India starts from mid-18th century, not earlier, not later? This is the first thing to come to mind of everyone. Clear? You want to ask something? Okay, now first of all understand this thing. Clear? Mid-18th century means from 1750 AD onwards. The syllabus starts from the mid-18th century, the reason being, clear? By this time, some radical changes took place in Europe also. Some major transformation took place in Europe and some major changes took place in India as well. And the changes that took place in Europe had direct consequences on India, clear? One major thing that had huge impact on India that took place in Europe was a revolution known as Industrial Revolution. Clear? In fact, by mid-18th century, the muscle power of human beings in Europe got replaced by the mechanical power of machines just because of industrialization that first of all started in England and then to other parts of Europe. It had huge impact on India, and just because of this impact only, India became a colony of Great Britain or United Kingdom. Clear? Now, what the major developments took place, how industrialization took place in Britain, what happened in Europe, we need to understand from European perspective. Clear? One major thing to be understood is we try to understand Indian history or modern India from Indo-centric perspective. Clear? But that is only a narrow approach. Clear? We need to understand modern history from European-centric perspective because policies in Europe, ideologies in Europe shaped the course of development in India under British imperialism. Clear? So first of all, we'll understand developments in Europe leading to colonization of India by mid-18th century, because by mid-18th century, British East India Company, a private company, began to establish control over prosperous provinces like Bengal, marked by Battle of Plassey in 1757. Clear? Let us move to Europe first. Clear? Just understand the developments. Clear? First of all, we need to understand, clear, during 13th century only, medieval system in Europe began to be challenged by some progressive thinkers. Clear? So modernization that began in India in 19th century, that modernization started in Europe whereby way back in 13th century. It's a gap of almost 5 to 6 centuries. Clear? Why do we say that medievalism began to be challenged in Europe? Clear? Because by this time in mid-13th century, a very important cultural movement started in Europe known as Renaissance. Clear? Renaissance is known as cultural revival or cultural rebirth. Clear? And this cultural movement began to challenge domination of autocratic monarchy, began to challenge the domination of church and the clergy class, and even a system known as feudal system in Europe. Clear? Scientific inquiry, logical thinking began to be promoted in Europe. Clear? And guided by this scientific inquiry, an era of geographical discoveries also began to be promoted by European powers. Clear? The lead in geographical discoveries was taken by two countries of Europe. These two countries are Spain and Portugal. Clear? The reason being, Spain and Portugal are located on an island or peninsula which is known as Iberian Peninsula, surrounded by water bodies. These two countries decided to explore the entire world. Clear? To avoid any conflict among them, these two countries even concluded a bilateral treaty in 1494. This treaty is known as Treaty of Tordesillas. Clear? According to the Treaty of Tordesillas, Spain and Portugal decided to divide the whole globe between them without any conflict. Clear? In this Treaty of Tordesillas, Spain decided to explore the western part of the world. Clear? Portugal decided to explore the eastern part of the world. In this process only, a Spanish sailor named as Columbus, clear, he discovered a new continent in the western part of the world known as American continent, also known as New World, in 1494. Clear? This was done by Columbus. Clear? Portuguese began to come towards the eastern side of the world, and Portuguese, when they began to come to eastern side of the world, after Europe, they reached the southern tip of African continent known as Cape of Good Hope. Clear? They continued their adventure toward the eastern side, and one Portuguese sailor, after reaching the Cape of Good Hope, that is present South Africa, clear, he further proceeded toward the eastern side and landed up on the southern coast of Calicut in India in 1498. Clear? This Portuguese sailor was Vasco da Gama. Clear? And when he reached the coast of Calicut in 1498, he was given warm reception by the local rulers of Calicut known as Zamorin rulers. Clear? And he realized this region of Calicut produced abundant amount of spices, especially black pepper, which was in huge demand in European world because of non-vegetarian food habits. Clear? He purchased some spices at Calicut. Through the same route of Cape of Good Hope, he returned back to his native country. His spices were sold at higher prices in Europe, clear, and this resulted into huge interest of Portuguese towards Indian Ocean or Indian trade, clear. Portuguese thereafter began to come to India in large numbers through this maritime route, clear. And after coming to the region of Calicut, they also tried to establish their settlements along the western coast of India so that they can promote healthy trade with India, especially marked by spices and traditional items, clear. After Calicut, they established the settlements at different places. In this process of establishing settlements, Portuguese established their own trading company, also known as Portuguese East India Company or Portuguese Trading Company, clear. And when they began to promote organized trade with India, there was one Portuguese officer who became first governor of Portuguese Trading Company, and this person was Francisco de Almeida, clear. He became the Portuguese governor in the year 1505, clear. And when he became Portuguese governor, he wanted to dominate over the maritime trade with India, clear. In fact, Francisco de Almeida started to make a rule that if Indian rulers also want to have their ships harbored on the western coast of India, they will have to take the permission from the Portuguese. They will have to purchase an insurance certificate from the Portuguese, clear. And from here, element of force began to be injected into maritime trade. This entire system of dominating maritime trade of Francisco de Almeida, it is known as blue water policy of the Portuguese, which is also known as the Curtis system, clear, because the paper of insurance issued by the Portuguese to ensure the safety of ships, this paper certificate was known as Curtis system, started by Francisco de Almeida, clear. From here, they began to dominate and rather monopolize the maritime trade along the western coast, clear. The tenure of Francisco de Almeida came to an end just after 4 years in 1509, and he was replaced by another powerful Portuguese governor, and this person was Albuquerque, clear. He came to India in 1509, and Albuquerque is very important because he established healthy relationship with one ruler of South India at this time. This ruler was Krishna Dev Raya, clear. He was a ruler of Vijayanagar kingdom. We'll discuss about this kingdom elaborately. Krishna Dev Raya started a new language in South India known as Telugu language, clear. So this language was started by Krishna Dev Raya, who wrote the first Telugu work known as Amukta Malyada. Culturally, it is very important, clear. With support of Krishna Dev Raya, clear. At the same time, Albuquerque established control over one region from Bijapuri Sultan ruling in South India, and that region is Goa, clear. Goa was captured by the Portuguese in the year 1510 from the Bijapuri Sultan, in which Albuquerque was supported even by Krishna Dev Raya. This was the question in prelims last year, and this was a statement. Albuquerque captured Goa in 1510 from Bijapuri Sultan, clear. This was Goa, and thereafter Goa became the headquarters of Portuguese in India along the western coast, clear. Albuquerque tried to Indianize in course of time. He prohibited the practice of sati in southern part of India, and he even asked Portuguese to get married to Indian women so that Portuguese gains acceptance in Indian society. Clear? After some time, Albuquerque proved to be a very prominent one, departed from India. Clear? After some years, another powerful Portuguese governor came to India, and this person was Nino de Cunha. Clear? And Nino de Cunha established control over Daman and Diu along the western coast of India, and this region was taken by Nino de Cunha from ruler of Gujarat, Bahadur Shah. This was a question asked in prelims. Clear? From which ruler the region of Daman and Diu was taken by the Portuguese? He was the ruler of Gujarat, Bahadur Shah. Questions has been asked on Portuguese repeatedly in prelims examination. Clear? So Daman and Diu was taken by Gujarat ruler Bahadur Shah by Nino de Cunha in the year 1537. Along with that, Portuguese even established control over a small island known as Island of Bombay along the western coast of India. So in this way, in the entire western coast of India, Portuguese tried to establish their own monopoly. They established also monopoly to a large extent, and that led to lucrative profit for the Portuguese in India. This was major development that took place until the beginning of 16th century. Clear? When Portuguese began to earn huge amount of profit from India, it rather generated interest among other Europeans as well. Clear? The next European power to come to India were the traders from Netherlands or Holland, who are known as the Dutch traders. Clear? And Dutch traders, when they came to India, they established a proper trading corporation in 1602 known as Dutch East India Company. Clear? But Dutch did not touch the western borders of India because western coast was dominated by Portuguese. Clear? Dutch tried to dominate over the eastern coast of India, and they established the first settlement at a place known as Masulipatanam in 1605 along the coast of Andhra. Clear? So Masulipatanam was the first settlement of the Dutch in India in 1605, and the most important settlement of the Dutch was a region known as Chinsura on the banks of river Hooghly in West Bengal as of now. Clear? So eastern coast was dominated by the Dutch, but very soon, since they were there in the eastern coast, Dutch was informed at this time spices are produced in more abundant amount in islands of Java and Sumatra in Southeast Asia. That is why Dutch left Indian territory largely, shifted to the islands of Java and Sumatra, and did not play any major role in Indian territory. Clear? And they were finally defeated by the British in the Battle of Chinsura only. We'll discuss when Robert Clive finally defeated the Dutch in the Battle of Chinsura, also known as Battle of Bedera. Clear? So this was the Dutch who could not play major role in India. Clear? After Dutch, the third major power to come to India were British traders who also wanted to participate in this profitable trade, and British came with clear-cut system and ideology in India. This ideology shaped the course of their policies in India. We'll understand their ideologies very clearly, starting with the philosophy of mercantilism, followed by capitalism, guided by the philosophy of laissez-faire, which was given by Adam Smith in his work, The Wealth of Nations. Clear? We'll understand these philosophies, the terms conceptually. They're very important, starting with mercantilism, then capitalism, capitalism guided by laissez-faire or free market concept or doctrine. Till this point is clear. Even this chronology is asked related to arrival of Europeans. First were the Portuguese, then the Dutch, then the British, then the Danes, and the last one were the French. Clear? So 5 trading companies came to India. In this succession, orders is also asked. Clear? The first settlement is always asked. Clear? So obviously we should be very clear about the first settlements, the most important settlements. These are important concepts to be known in modern Indian history. And ultimately, by the mid of 18th century, clash started between 2 European companies, British and French East India Company. Dutch never played important role. Danes established control only over 2 regions, left India after some time. Conflict started between British and French, and 3 major wars were fought between them, and these wars are known as Anglo-French wars, also known as Carnatic wars, as they were fought in the province of Carnatic in South India. Clear? This is the first topic of modern history, that is Carnatic wars between British and French. Background is clear. First of all, we'll start with Treaty of Tordesillas. हिंदी में कुछ बताना है आपको? क्लियर है? ओके, एनीवे क्लियर. क्या? एसी बहुत ज्यादा है, कर दीजिए प्लीज. क्लियर? कोई बात नहीं, आपको अगर लगता है तो आप मुझे बताइएगा. आई जस्ट एक्सप्लेन हिंदी ऑल्सो. वो भी समझ नहीं आती. हाँ, क्लियर. सो क्लियर. इज इट फाइन? क्लियर. सो इंग्लिश, आई स्पीक वेरी नॉर्मल इंग्लिश. प्यूरिटन इंग्लिश मुझे आती भी नहीं है. The best part is that I don't know Puritan, and Puritan English is not required in UPSC. You need only operational English. Clear? Language is not a very major issue. Clear? Write as simple as possible, but clarity of thought, conceptual clarity is more important. Clear? It's clear. Use simple words, but with authentication and clarity. That's much more important. Clear? Is it fine? Shall we write from here? Clear? Okay. Please. What did the Portuguese offer us? Initially, what they offered us, we'll come to that also. In fact, British, when they came, they were not allowed to establish factories in India by Mughals under Portuguese pressure. What Portuguese offered? Clear? When Portuguese came to India, one thing I'll let you know that needs to be understood here. Clear? First thing that they offered in India was a very important and sensitive material known as gunpowder. I'm not discussing gunpowder here, but you should know if you've asked this. Clear? The Portuguese introduced a new material in India known as gunpowder. Gunpowder was basically used in artilleries during warfare. Clear? Gunpowder was introduced in India by the Portuguese. Do remember. Clear? They introduced some dubious items also. Another dubious item was tobacco. Clear? Tobacco was also brought to India by the Portuguese, which has become very popular these days all across India. Clear? So tobacco was also introduced by the Portuguese in our country. Gunpowder. Why gunpowder is very sensitive, I'll let you know. Clear? Gunpowder was given by Portuguese to Krishnadev Raya, the ruler of Vijayanagar. Albuquerque offered gunpowder. Clear? And what was the utility? When gunpowder came to Vijayanagar ruler Krishnadev Raya was able to defend the kingdom against 5 antagonistic Bahmani kingdoms. Clear? Bijapur was one of them. There was Bijapur, Golconda, Ahmednagar, Berar and Bidar. 5 regions were there. Clear? And all of them were against Vijayanagar rulers. Clear? So Vijayanagar ruler defended himself due to gunpowder. But one thing must be remembered, gunpowder was not used by Krishnadev Raya in warfare. Clear? Gunpowder was with him, given to him by Portuguese, but he did not use gunpowder. Clear? In fact, the first ruler to use gunpowder in India at this time only was another ruler coming from Central Asia in north, and this ruler was Zahiruddin Babur. Clear? Babur was the first one. This has been asked in prelims. Clear? Babur was the first one to use gunpowder in India, as he brought some major gunners from Central India like Ustad Ali and Mustafa. Clear? And he began to use gunpowder from the very first battle known as the First Battle of Panipat, in which he defeated Ibrahim Lodi in 1526. Then he defeated Rana Sanga in Battle of Khanwa. He was successful in these battles also because of gunpowder. Clear? So if you get a question, who was the first one? It has been asked in prelims to use gunpowder in India. It was Babur. Babur in 1526. All these developments are going on in southern part of India. North India is marked by establishment of Mughal Empire by Babur. Clear? But gunpowder was first introduced in India, not by Babur. Gunpowder was first introduced in India by Portuguese, and this was given to Krishnadev Raya. But Krishnadev Raya did not use gunpowder. It was used for the first time by Babur. Clear? They also offered tobacco, and tobacco became very prominent among the ruling classes. They also introduced betel leaves also. Clear? And betel leaves began to be signed off aristocratic lifestyle by the ruling classes in India. They also introduced potatoes also. All these are introduced by Portuguese in India. Clear? But these are not important. More important thing is gunpowder. Clear? So tobacco, potato, betel leaves, all they were introduced by the Portuguese in India. And what offered, when they purchased spice and the commodities, they gave remunerative prices to Indian producers. Clear? Since remunerative prices were given to Indian producers, even Mughal emperors did not have any problem, because anyway, Indian producers were getting fair price for the produce. So trade was quite healthy in nature. Quite clear. One question opens up, unfold many other issues as well. Clear? Any other question to be asked? First of all, we'll write about arrival of Europeans. Now, please. Gunpowder. He did not use gunpowder, but Krishnadev Rai himself had a large standing army. Clear? Because Vijayanagar was a very powerful one. Clear? And Krishnadev Rai, with large military force, he rather created a deterrent effect on Bahmani rulers, or rather 5 states of Bahmani kingdom. All of them knew they had a large standing army which cannot be defeated. None of them dared to attack Vijayanagar during the reign of Krishnadev Raya. Clear? And Krishnadev Raya expanded the Vijayanagar kingdom up to Odisha. Odisha at that time was known as Kaling. Clear? And Kaling was being ruled by a dynasty known as Gajpati dynasty. Clear? So Gajpatis were defeated by Krishnadev Raya. Large parts of Kaling was brought under the rule. Clear? And Krishnadev Raya contributed towards cultural growth and development because he was largely safeguarded from any form of aggression. And that is, no, he never used gunpowder. Clear? He was ruling from 1509 to 1529. When he was ruling in South India, Babur came to India from Central Asia. He used gunpowder for the first time. Krishnadev Raya is very important culturally. He maintained 8 luminaries in his course known as Ashtadiggaj. Among Ashtadiggaj, the most important person was Tenali Ram. You must be knowing about Tenali Ram. Very important, known for his wit and humor. As it was the case with Birbal in Akbar's court. He was also known for his wit and humor. Clear? He was also highly intelligent, known as Tenali Ram. Clear? All of them contributed to Telugu language and literature. Welcome to Telugu language. Clear? Is it fine? Clear? Arrival of European companies. Clear? Right, subheading. Clear? Right, arrival of European companies or Europeans to India. This is the first topic. Arrival of Europeans to India. Arrival of Europeans to India. Yeah. Arrival of Europeans to India. Yeah. Arrival of Europeans to India. Clear? Treaty of Tordesillas needs to be understood. Clear? Right, introduction fast. Clear? Right. By 13th century, a cultural movement known as Renaissance. Cultural movement known as Renaissance started in Europe. Renaissance means rebirth. Cultural movement known as Renaissance, rebirth. Cultural movement known as Renaissance started in Europe. Can you go a little slow? Okay, I'll be slow. You want me slow? Don't hesitate, let me know. Screen is showing very blur. Please, can you check? Screen दिख रहा है ना? ठीक है, thank you. Clear? Okay. Cultural movement known as Renaissance that promoted a spirit of scientific inquiry, and geographical discoveries. Yeah. Right. The pioneering role. P-I-O-N-E-E-R-I-N-G. The pioneering role. I hope you समझते हैं आप pioneering. Starting. The pioneering role in geographical exploration. The pioneering role in geographical exploration was played by Spain and Portugal. And these countries concluded the treaty of Tordesillas, in 1494. Treaty of Tordesillas in 1494. Okay? Right. According to this treaty, Spain decided to explore the western part of the world, whereas Portugal explored the western part of the world, whereas Portugal moved towards the eastern world. Moved towards the eastern world. Not just understand here. It's a very important one. Clear? Imaginary treaty is there. Clear? To divide the whole world. Britain was not in picture. France was not in picture. Germany was not in picture. It was only Spain and Portugal. Clear? Treaty of Tordesillas. Now, Spain decided to explore this whole world, that is western part of the world. Portuguese decided to explore the eastern part of the world. That is all this color, that is the purple color, yellow color for Spain. That is why, just understand, Spanish people started from here, explored the continent or region, that is North America. Columbus was the first one to reach this region, and therefore entire American continent was explored by the Spanish people. That is why, clear, in course of time, Spain dominated the entire part of South America as well. And even now, South America is known as Latin America. Clear? Why do we use the term Latin America for South America? Still in Latin America, Spanish language is the dominating language. Clear? So this entire region with yellow is known as Latin America, because even now in these countries like Argentina, Peru, Paraguay, the dominating language is Spanish language. Clear? Spain dominated this region, but in course of time, this region got liberated and a new country got established here known as United States of America along with Canada. Clear? So this region was dominated by Spain, and this is known as Latin America, except one country. That country was Brazil, and Brazil was dominated by Portuguese. Clear? So except one country, the entire part of South America was dominated by the country of Spain, and that is why it is known as Latin America. This line was imaginary line, and that is why Brazil came under the verdict of or under the control of the Portuguese, and therefore Brazil was the only country that is not counted under Latin America. Clear? Meanwhile, Portuguese started from here. Portuguese reached the eastern or rather southern part of African continent known as Cape of Good Hope, and from here only Vasco da Gama further proceeded and reached the southern coast of India known as Calicut in 1498. Clear? So this was the country, that is these two smaller countries began to dominate the entire world between them. Clear? So Spain moved towards the western part according to Treaty of Tordesillas. Portuguese moved towards the eastern side, and one of them, clear, reached up to Calicut in 1498 after touching the southern tip known as Cape of Good Hope. This is clear first of all? Yeah, please. Again, I'll let you know. Navigation was not very much developed at that point of time. Since navigation was not developed, he was coming to the western part only, clear? But when he reached here, he got confused that he had reached up to the eastern side of the globe, and he has searched rather India, clear? India was in high demand, just because of that also, because it was known as huge country with huge wealth. Now, why at this time? Clear? Why he came to know about India? He could have named this continent as Africa also. Clear? But first of all, I'll let you know. He was confused that he has searched India. He named the native people as Red Indians. Clear? So initially, the native people of America were known as Red Indians. Clear? But later on, it was realized it was not India. It was a new world altogether known as American continent. Clear? He came to the region of Florida, and Florida largely remained under the control of Spanish people for long. Clear? So this was one thing. So you get confused. Now why only India? Clear? Because when Renaissance took place, they began to read ancient scriptures, that is Latin and Greek scriptures. Clear? And when they read Latin and Greek scriptures, these Europeans or these people of Spain and Portugal realized there is one country in any part of the world, that is India, where there is large amount of European gold, European bullions. Clear? Why this was there? Because we'll see in ancient India, clear, when Roman Empire was there in 4th century AD, 1st century to 4th century AD, Roman Empire based in Italy was a very flourishing empire, and Romans also had maritime trade with 3 kingdoms in the southern tip of Indian continent, and these kingdoms were Cheras, Cholas and Pandyas. Clear? And all of them exported very valuable items to Roman world, that is spices, cotton. They also exported basically ivories supplied by elephants and even other products as well. And for all this, they received huge amount of Roman bullions. Clear? All these bullions came from Roman world and they got confined to southern part of India, which never went back to Europe. Clear? So when they read this text, clear, they realized there's one country, India, which we must search, because India has got huge amount of European bullions. Clear? And we need to take back those bullions to our own country. Clear? So Columbus also wanted to search India. It was not sure whether India is located on the western side or eastern side. Clear? Just to glorify his adventure, Columbus said that he has searched India, because ultimate purpose was to search India. Clear? And therefore later on it was realized it is not India, it is another world altogether known as America. Clear? India was really discovered again in modern era by Portuguese sailor Vasco da Gama, who started from here, came to southern tip of African continent, further proceeded here and reached the coast of Calicut in 1498, and the local rulers welcomed him, gave him warm reception, and these rulers were Zamorin rulers of Calicut. Clear? Conceptually, you should be very clear what exactly happened. Clear? We'll come to ancient India. We'll discuss the Sangam dynasties, Cheras, Cholas and Pandyas. Clear? Very flourishing trade with the Roman world. It's clear. Treaty of Tordesillas. Clear? Right, next. Clear? Right, in this process, Portuguese sailor, the Portuguese sailor Vasco da Gama, the Portuguese sailor, S-A-I-L-O-R, Navik, the Portuguese sailor Vasco da Gama, reached the southern tip. You should know these regions. Reached the southern tip of African continent, known as the Cape of Good Hope. Cape of Good Hope. Cape of Good Hope. It's known as Cape of Good Hope. It was a name given to this. They gave them new hope to move towards eastern world. Cape of Good Hope. Clear? Like proceeding further towards the eastern side. Towards the eastern side. Shall I be slow further? Proceeding towards the eastern side. I have a question. Yeah, please go on. Clear? Proceeding further towards the eastern side. Vasco da Gama reached the coast of Calicut. C-A-L-I-C-U-T. Reached the coast of Calicut in 1498. The years that we will be writing in our notebook, those years are important. Clear? Reached the coast of Calicut, C-A-L-I-C-U-T, Calicut in 1498. 1498. Clear? Right. He purchased spices, especially black pepper. I hope you understand black pepper. He purchased spices, especially black pepper, and returned back to Europe. Returned back to Europe. Okay, it was sold at much higher prices in European market. Clear? Right. Thereafter, several Portuguese arrived on the western coast of India. Clear? Arjun Jadhav, I have a question. Yeah, please go forward. Clear? Kali Mircha. Black pepper is known as Kali Mirch. Clear? It's clear, first of all, this much is clear. So the Portuguese came to India. The first proper Portuguese governor was Francisco de Almeida. Clear? And Francisco de Almeida started a very forceful policy known as Blue Water Policy to dominate maritime trade along the western coast of India. Clear? Right, next paragraph. Clear? This is clear? This concept is clear. Treaty of Tordesillas. Okay. Right, next. Clear? The first Portuguese governor in India was Francisco de Almeida. From 1505 to 1509, only for 4 years. Francisco de Almeida. 1505, it's 1505 to 1509. Francisco de Almeida. Clear? Right. Francisco de Almeida. He began to, shall I be further slow? He began to dominate over maritime trade. maritime. I hope you understand this term. Samudri. Zamorin rulers. I'll let you know. Clear? Portuguese were welcomed. Vasco da Gama was welcomed by Zamorin rulers. Zamorin rulers of Malabar. Malabar is modern Kerala. Clear? Okay. Clear? Maritime trade, dominate maritime trade, and started the Blue Water Policy. Started the Blue Water Policy. Clear? Right. According to this policy, clear? This policy, even Indian rulers needed to purchase insurance certificates. Bima. Even needed to purchase insurance certificate or cartas. From the Portuguese. Insurance certificate or cartas from the Portuguese to ensure the safety of ships. Completely forceful measure. Ensure safety of ships. Clear? Right. This amounted to trade monopoly. Of the Portuguese. On the western coast. coast. On the western coast. Clear? Now chain paragraph. Right. The most popular Portuguese governor. The most popular Portuguese governor was Albuquerque. Was Albuquerque. Was Albuquerque. He just came after Francisco de Almeida. Was Albuquerque. Albuquerque, who established control over. Who established control over. Who established control over Goa. It's a very important one. It has been asked in examination. Clear? Who established control over Goa in 1510. Goa in 1510 against the Bijapuri ruler. Against the Bijapuri ruler. We'll come to them in medieval times. Clear? Against the Bijapuri ruler. Clear? Right. In this task. Against. In this task. He was largely assisted by. In this task. He was largely assisted by another ruler. Assisted by another ruler, Krishna Dev Raya. In short, we call him KDR. Clear? Relationship with assisted. ASSISTED, assisted by Krishna Dev Raya. KDR. Clear? Right now is KCR. That is the former Chief Minister of Telangana. Clear? Okay. K. Chandrasekhar Rao. Clear? So it's KDR. Krishna Dev Raya. Very important one will come in medieval history. Clear? So KDR. 1510, the headquarter was Goa. Like from here, Goa became the headquarter of Portuguese. From here, Goa became the headquarter of the Portuguese. Goa became the headquarter, the major center, headquarter of the Portuguese. Clear? Now write some contributions. It's important for examination. Clear? Albuquerque, Portuguese governor, Albuquerque, prohibited the practice of sati on the western coast. Prohibited the practice of sati on the western coast, and even asked Portuguese to marry, Indian women. Portuguese to marry Indian women. It's clear? Indian women. Very important one. Clear? Sati will come. It was abolished by British only in India with the demand raised by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Clear? Sati was a practice going on in India since ancient times. The first evidence of sati coming from a place known as Eran. Eran is located in Sagar district of modern Madhya Pradesh. Clear? So first evidence of sati comes from Eran in modern Madhya Pradesh from Gupta period, that is 510 AD. Clear? We'll come to that in ancient India. Clear? Since then, sati became highly prevalent in Indian society, and sati was largely popular because of one thing, that condition of widows in Indian society was highly pathetic. Clear? Widows were considered to be inauspicious creature, and therefore large number of women, they mounted on the funeral pyre of her dead husband to end her physical life rather than living a life of a widow. Clear? Just because condition of widows was highly deplorable, most of the women performed sati, and they were even respected by Brahmins as well. Clear? So sati was being practiced right from Gupta period. It was there in modern times as well. On the western coast, it was prohibited by Albuquerque. Clear? Very important development under this Portuguese governor. Clear? Now change paragraph. Clear? After several years, Portuguese were headed by another powerful governor, Nino de Cunha. Sir, can you please repeat the last point? Last point is for Albuquerque asked or prohibited the practice of sati and even asked the person to marry Indian women. Is it clear, Prashant? Okay. Nino de Cunha. Clear? Right. He established control over the regions of Daman and Diu. Again on western coast, control over the regions of Daman and Diu. In 1537, last year only there was a question prelims. Clear? Daman and Diu in 1537, taken from the ruler of Gujarat, Bahadur Shah. This was the question. From whom the Daman and Diu was taken. Clear? Taken from? Nahi. Bahadur Shah Zafar is different. Clear? I'll let you know. Clear? Clear? Taken from ruler of Gujarat, Bahadur Shah. Clear? Since you have asked, just make it clear. Bahadur Shah is a very common name in medieval and modern history. Clear? This was a ruler of Gujarat. Clear? He was contemporary to Humayun. Clear? And Bahadur Shah was killed also by Portuguese. Clear? So after taking the region of Daman and Diu in 1540, they assassinated Bahadur Shah as well. Clear? In Mughal history, clear, after the death of Aurangzeb, all Mughal emperors are known as later Mughals. They were weak rulers. Clear? And among the later Mughals, the first ruler was Prince Muazzam. Clear? Prince Muazzam, when he became Mughal emperor, he took the title known as Bahadur Shah. Clear? So he's known as Bahadur Shah first. Clear? Because another Bahadur Shah was about to come. Clear? So he's known in history as Bahadur Shah first. Clear? He's given another dubious title also. He was also known as Shah-e-Bekhabar, because he never had any idea about what is happening around his surrounding. Clear? So he was also known as Shah-e-Bekhabar. Clear? There was Bahadur Shah first. Clear? In this succession, the last Mughal emperor was also known as Bahadur Shah. Clear? He's known as Bahadur Shah second, just to differentiate with Bahadur Shah first, and he's also known as Bahadur Shah Zafar. Clear? And Bahadur Shah Zafar was only exiled to Rangoon after mighty revolt of 1857, where he died in the year 1862. Rangoon is present Burma or Myanmar. Clear? So Bahadur Shah, very popular title. Clear? Last ruler of Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah first. First ruler of later Mughals, Bahadur Shah first. Clear? Last ruler of later Mughals, Bahadur Shah second. That is Bahadur Shah Zafar. Clear? And he is a separate ruler of Gujarat, Bahadur Shah. Bekhabar means you are not aware about your surroundings. Bahadur Shah first. Bahadur Shah first was Shah-e-Bekhabar. Shah-e-Bekhabar means king of innocence. Clear? He didn't know anything about it. Clear? There was another ruler, later Mughals, Muhammad Shah. He was given that title of Rangila. He was known as Muhammad Shah Rangila because most of the time he was engaged in music and dance. Clear? So he was known as Rangila. And when he was engaged in music and dance, one warrior from Iran came to attack India known as Clear? Very powerful warrior came from Iran at this time, and this ruler was known as Nadir Shah. Clear? Nadir Shah defeated Mughals, took away very important items from India like Kohinoor diamond and the peacock throne known as Takht-e-Taus of Shah Jahan. This battle is known as Battle of Karnal. Clear? Well, here only I'll let you know very important concept in modern history. Clear? We will be using two terms in modern history. These two terms are known as war, and second term is known as battle. Normally students are confused that what are the dates to be remembered in modern history. Clear? There's a trick. Everything has a logic. Clear? If you understand the difference between war and battle, it would become very easy which dates are to be remembered. Clear? What is the difference in war and battle? What is the difference in war and battle? Conquer something. And for war? That. Neighborhood. Your aggression against the neighborhood. Or कोई difference? Any other difference between battle and war? We'll be using terms very specifically in modern history. Battle is specific area. Residents of those areas fighting against each other known as battle. And war, foreign invasions. Okay? And why we are using Battle of Karnal? He also came from Iran only, no? There's a difference. Just understand. Clear? Battle is that military clash in modern history which is decided on a single day. Clear? If any military clash which is decided on a single day, intra-day affair, clear, it is known as battle. Clear? So if any times you are asked battle, you should know the date. Clear? Battle of Plassey, 23rd of June. Battle of Buxar, 22nd of October. This is a trick. Clear? Any military clash that goes on even for more than one day, it can go for 1 month, it can go for 1 year, it can go for 1 decade also. That will be termed as war. Clear? One war can have multiple battles. Clear? So within a war also there can be multiple battles because battles are always one-day match. It has to be decided on the same day. And most of the time in modern history, it was not 50-50 also. Most of the time it was 20-20 only. Clear? Because issue was decided within 3 to 4 hours. Clear? So it was basically an intra-day affair. Clear? So any military clash which was decided on a single day, it is known as battle. Even if it exceeds for 1 day, it is known as war. Clear? And therefore, dates of battles to be remembered. Battle of Plassey, Battle of Vandivash, Third Battle of Panipat, we have exact dates. So just make it clear when it is battle, you need to be very clear about exact date. Clear? Because battles are always an intra-day affair, 1 day match decided on the same day. Clear? If it crosses 1 day, it will be termed simply as war. Clear? Anglo-French War. It had multiple battles within it. Clear? We'll come to those battles as well. Clear? So difference should be very clear between war and battle. When we say Battle of Karnal, then we have exact date 13th of February 1739. Because within few hours, Mughals were defeated by Nadir Shah, took away the prize items like Kohinoor diamond and Takhte-Taus of Shah Jahan. Clear? Why we have 13th of February? Because it was decided on same single day, that is on intra-day affair. Clear? This difference should be very clear in modern Indian history. If you remember this difference, you will come to know when you read that dates are important when it is of battles, not for wars. Even if you don't remember the years for wars, it will not happen. But when it comes to battles, you need to be very clear. It was a 1 day affair. You should know about the date. Is it clear? Everything is conceptual. Clear? If you understand from conceptual thing, it will become very clear. Yeah, please. Conflict. Conflict means it can go on for several years or several days, several months. Conflict is something which is generic. Clear? We don't use the term battle. Clear? It's basically Russia-Ukraine war because it has been going for several months. Clear? Middle East crisis. Crisis going on between Hamas and Israel. Clear? Obviously, it is not a 1 day affair. When it is decided on a single day, it is known as battle. Clear? That should be very clear. Clear? So it is battle and battle. We'll come to this difference. It will become more clear when we discuss major wars. Clear? So it's Battle of Karnal. So Bahadur Shah first. Clear? So we have multiple Bahadur Shahs, not only 3. There are others also in medieval history. We'll discuss. Clear? Prominent ones as Mughal emperors. First Bahadur Shah first, then Bahadur Shah second. Bahadur Shah second also known as Bahadur Shah Zafar. Clear? Bahadur Shah Zafar was defeated in the mighty revolt. His sons were assassinated by British. He was executed to Rangoon, and he was also an Urdu poet, and he used a line at this time. Khata kuch ne ki, saza sabko mili. Clear? It was revolt only by sepoys. Clear? But punishment was given to everyone. Clear? So khata kuch ne ki, saza sabko mili. Clear? He was also punished at this time after mighty revolt of 1857. It's clear? Feel free to ask. You need to know all these things, nuances very well. Clear? So coming to Nino da Kunha, that is, he took the region of Daman and Diu from the rule of Gujarat, Bahadur Shah, the year being 1537. Clear? In this way, the Portuguese dominated the entire western coast, and they also established control over a strategic island known as Island of Bombay. Clear? Right over this island also. Clear? Right. Meanwhile, the Portuguese also established control over the island of Bombay, It was just a small island, right here itself, clear? Right. However, this island, it's a very interesting story. However, this island was given as dowry. Dowry is not only in India, clear? It was given as dowry by the Portuguese, to the British prince, Charles II, for getting married to Catherine of Braganza. She was a Portuguese lady. Yeah? For getting married to Catherine of Braganza. Yeah. For getting married to, I cannot change the names. Okay. For getting married to Catherine of Braganza. She was R-I-N-E. Catherine of Braganza. Portuguese princess, Catherine of Braganza. She was from Braganza region. She was known as Catherine of Braganza. Clear? Right. Later on, next sentence, later on, this island was transferred by Charles II to British East India Company. In this way, Bombay came under them. Transferred the island to British East India Company in 1668. For a nominal price. When this is asked, for 1668. Transferred by Charles II to British East India Company in 1668 for a nominal price of 10 pounds. Only 10 pounds. For a nominal price of, these are very interesting thing. For a nominal price of 10 pounds. 10 sterling, 10 pounds. Clear? So 1668. So island came under British East India Company in a very unique way. Clear? So this should be understood related to Portuguese. Clear? Now there's a question, sir, can you please provide timelines for these dates? Clear? I'll come to those timelines, don't worry about it. Clear? So that it would be easier for us to remember this. You will remember all the dates in the class itself, I'll guarantee you. Clear? Don't just wait for us. Clear? Right now we are looking after the Portuguese. नाम याद नहीं हो रहे, एक और दो रिवीजन करेंगे आप तो आपको नाम याद आ जाएंगे. और मैं आपको बता दूं, ठीक है, दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, इट्स नॉट इलॉजिकल क्वेश्चन, आई लेट यू नो. क्लियर? आपको समझना है ये चीज, पूरे प्रोसेस में आप ये समझ जाइए. दिस वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू. क्लियर? नाम आपको याद नहीं हो रहा है, नाम आपको याद करने भी नहीं है. आप समझिए, नाम आपको याद करने भी नहीं है. क्यों नहीं करना आपको बता देता हूं मैं. क्लियर? इसको समझिए आप पहले. आप सिर्फ रिवीजन करेंगे. नाम आपको क्यों याद नहीं करना है? ये नाम आपसे पूछे जाएंगे प्रीलिम्स एग्जाम में. मेंस में आपका टॉपिक उससे स्टार्ट होता है मिडिल ऑफ 18th सेंचुरी से, क्लियर। और मेंस में जब आप आंसर लिखेंगे, योर आंसर इज बेस्ड ऑन योर कंसेप्चुअल आर्गुमेंट्स, नॉट ऑन फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर्स। आपको आंसर्स में ये सब नाम लिखने नहीं होते हैं, क्लियर। आपसे पूछा भी नहीं जाएगा, क्वेश्चन वुड बी फ्रेम्ड इन सच अ मैनर, यू जस्ट हैव टू राइट कंसेप्चुअल एंड डेवलपमेंट्स, क्लियर। सो डोंट गो आफ्टर राइम्स। बट नाम क्यों लिख रहे हैं क्लास में, हम क्यों डिस्कस कर रहे हैं? क्योंकि ये प्रीलिम्स के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है, और प्रीलिम्स में नाम याद नहीं करने हैं, क्लियर। अगर आपने एक या दो बार क्लास में भी सुना है, क्लियर, जब आप प्रीलिम्स देखेंगे तो डिफरेंस क्या है प्रीलिम्स और मेंस में, क्लियर। प्रीलिम्स इज अबाउट रिकॉग्नाइजिंग, मेंस इज अबाउट रिकलेक्शन, क्लियर। डिफरेंस क्या है? आउट ऑफ 4 ऑप्शंस गिवन देयर इन द क्वेश्चन पेपर, वन अमंग देम इज राइट, क्लियर। आपको सिर्फ आइडेंटिफाई करना है राइट ऑप्शन को, क्लियर। अगर आपसे नीनो डी कुन्हा नाम दिया है और इसकी बात होती है दमन एंड दिउ की, क्लियर, आप फौरन ही रिकॉल कर जाएंगे कि आपने क्लास में सुना है और आपने पढ़ा है, क्लियर। यू जस्ट हैव टू रिकॉग्नाइज, आपको रिकलेक्ट नहीं करना है, क्लियर। रिकलेक्शन इज टू बी डन फॉर मेंस, और मेंस में नाम नहीं लिखने होते हैं। जब आप आंसर लिखेंगे, यू विल रियलाइज यू हैव टू राइट ब्रॉडर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द फिनोमेना, क्लियर। सो आपको ब्लू वाटर पॉलिसी लिखना पड़ सकता है। अगर आपको नाम याद नहीं है फ्रांसिस्को डी अल्मीडा, इट वोंट मैटर, क्लियर। मेजर थिंग इज टू नो अबाउट द पॉलिसीज एंड कंसेप्ट, क्लियर। सो प्रीलिम्स में नाम इंपॉर्टेंट है, उसके लिए याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है। आपको 4 ऑप्शंस में एक सही ऑप्शन भी होंगे, आपको केवल रिकॉग्नाइज करना है, क्लियर। आपने 2 बार भी पढ़ा है, वो ऑप्शन देख के आपको वहां पर स्ट्राइक कर जाएगा, क्लियर। दैट इज द ब्यूटी ऑफ प्रीलिम्स, क्लियर। मेंस में क्यों आपको बोलते हैं, आपको रिकलेक्ट करना। रिकलेक्शन नीटी-ग्रिटी नहीं होते हैं, रिकलेक्शन ऑफ कंसेप्ट्स होते हैं, क्लियर। कंसेप्ट्स कैन बी रिकलेक्टेड इजीली इफ यू हैव अंडरस्टूड थिंग्स प्रॉपर्ली, क्लियर। एग्जाम को डिकोड कीजिए थोड़ा, क्लियर। अगर आप सोचेंगे हर चीज आपको यहां रखना है, वो पॉसिबल किसी के लिए भी नहीं है, क्लियर। बट आप समझ जाएंगे ट्रेंड कहां है, प्रीलिम्स में क्या करना है और मेंस में क्या करना है, थिंग्स विल बिकम मच इजियर, क्लियर। तो ये मैं नाम आपको लिख रहा हूं कि प्रीलिम्स में इंपॉर्टेंट है, लेकिन ये आपको यहां होने चाहिए, इसकी जरूरत नहीं है। आपने 2 बार भी सुना है, आप वहां पर टिक कर लेंगे, क्लियर, क्योंकि आपको सिर्फ रिकॉग्नाइज करना है, क्लियर। इन मेंस यू हैव टू रिकलेक्ट, रिकलेक्शन of broader concepts, वो आपको खुद ब खुद आएगा। That's about writing skill. Understand the nuances. If you understand the nuances, you will be at peace. आप burden मत लीजिए किसी चीज का, clear? Understand as logically as possible. Is it clear? आइडिया क्लियर है? नाम याद करने भी नहीं है, बट आपको आने चाहिए, clear? So this is Charles Island of Bombay, clear? So domination along the western coast by the Portuguese, clear? Now after Portuguese, just understand, clear? The second European power to come to India, just understand first, clear? These power were the traders from Netherlands or Holland. They are also known as Dutch traders. When Dutch traders came to India, they established a company in India which is known as Dutch East India Company in 1602. Year is important here, clear? And in course of time, they established the first settlement along the eastern coast without confronting the Portuguese, and the first settlement was at Masulipatanam on Andhra coast in 1605, clear? Then they established the most important settlement on the banks of river Hooghly in Bengal, and that was known as Chinsura, also known as Bedera, clear? These were 2 major settlements along the western coast of India, along with some minor one like Petapoli, clear? But very soon the Dutch came to know spices are produced in more abundant amount in the islands of Java and Sumatra in Southeast Asia. They migrated to Southeast Asia and they ceased to play important role in India. But one thing to be important from world perspective, clear? Dutch from here only dominated over Java and Sumatra, which is presently known as Indonesia, and this imperialism was for 250 years, clear? Maximum prolonged imperialism on any country in the world is on Indonesia, which was liberated by the Dutch in the year 1948 after India's independence, clear? So Dutch was the most important colonial power over Indonesia, ruling over the country almost for 2.5 centuries, and therefore it resulted into huge imperial culture in Indonesia, which was liberated much later, clear? So Dutch at this time only shifted to Java and Sumatra, which corresponds with present country of Indonesia. This is about Dutch. Write about the second one coming to India, clear? Sir, that would be easier for us to remember these dates? Or you mean to say basically the settlement or the order? We'll come to that. Last emperor of Mughals, Bahadur Shah Zafar. Is it clear? First settlement of the Portuguese is Calicut, right? So NCERT and class notes are sufficient for exam. We'll come to sources. First of all, stay with me with class notes. Clear? We'll try to cover everything in the class itself. Don't worry about anything. Clear? And trust me, be with me. I know all of you must be having one book with all of you, which has become an evil thing for everyone. Spectrum. Keep on hold. No one can read a spectrum, take my words. Clear? It's totally dry. It's totally mixed with irrelevant informations also. No one can read. If you don't remember these names here, you cannot remember the names there in a spectrum. That's complete a dry book. Clear? Don't rubber. Just be with me till the time we cover modern history. Everything there would be in the class notes. Clear? That can be asked in the examination. Nothing irrelevant. Clear? Just stay with me. Clear? So don't ask me materials and all. There are enough materials in the market. Clear? Don't run after that. Stay with me in the class. We'll be doing it we'll cover everything. Clear? Coming back. Clear? So coming to the Dutch. Clear? Right, the next one, next paragraph. The second European power to arrive in India were the traders of Netherlands, also known as Holland. Clear? Were the traders of Netherlands or the Dutch. Netherlands or the Dutch. Clear? That they established a trading corporation. As the Dutch East India Company, writing capital as the Dutch East India Company. They were coming to the eastern side of the world. Dutch East India Company in 1602. Yeah. Trading corporation. They established their trading corporation as Dutch East India Company in 1602. Clear? They established their first settlement. At Masulipatam, very important location on Andhra coast. They established the first settlement at Masulipatam in Masulipatnam on Andhra coast. Masulipatnam on Andhra coast in 1605. Clear? Right. However, their most important settlement was established at Chinsura on the banks of, it's very important, Chinsura on the banks of river Hooghly. Hooghly, on the banks of river Hooghly in 1653. Remember this, we'll talk about Battle of Chinsura. Clear? Chinsura on the banks of Hooghly in 1653. Right, here only next sentence. Right, however, 1653. Clear? Right, however, Dutch realized that spices were produced in abundant amount spices were produced in abundant amount, in the islands of abundant amount in the islands of Java and Sumatra, in Southeast Asia. Java and Sumatra in Southeast Asia. You know about this region: Southeast Asia, Central Asia, West Asia. You need to be very clear. So it is Southeast Asia. It includes countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore. Japan is not in Southeast Asia. Japan is in Far East. Clear? Japan and Korea, they are in Far East. Clear? China also in the Far East. Clear? So this is basically Southeast Asia. Clear? Malaysia, Cambodia, Singapore. Clear? Philippines, Vietnam, ASEAN countries, you must be knowing. Clear? All these comes under Southeast Asia. India is in South Asia. Clear? South Asia includes all India and neighboring countries: Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, all comes under South Asia. Central Asia has Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. West Asia, very much in news: Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Bahrain, Oman, so on. Clear? So these are West Asia. Clear? West Asia is known to us as West Asia. This region at global level is known as Middle East. Clear? So United States refer to this region as Middle East. We call this region as West Asia from Asian perspective. Clear? So this is Southeast Asia, Java and Sumatra. Present country being Indonesia. Clear? This region Dutch. Clear? Right. In this way, Dutch could not play. In this way, the Dutch could not play major role. The Dutch could not play major role in Indian territory. They left India largely. Major role in Indian territory. Clear? The Dutch, they shifted to Southeast Asia. Clear? Now next paragraph. Clear? The third European power to arrive in India. The third European power to arrive in India were the British. This is the order also, right order as well. Were the British. Now we'll understand. Very important one. Conceptually you should understand. Clear? So how come British came to India? What was their ideas initially? Clear? Now just understand. Clear? Britain is the first modern nation state all across the world. Clear? So all across the world, the first modern nation to be established was Britain only, which is presently known as United Kingdom. Clear? It was originally known as England. I hope you understand the difference between England, Great Britain and United Kingdom. Clear? When England is counted with Scotland and Wales, it is known as Great Britain. When we include Northern Ireland also, it is known as United Kingdom. Clear? So it was England. Clear? Now what was the situation in England? Just understand. Clear? Britain is the first country as a modern nation state because, clear, political rights and civil liberty were given to the people for the first time in Britain only, because in 1295 the citizens of Britain drafted a document against the monarch of Britain. This document is known as Magna Carta. Clear? And in this document, Magna Carta, they demanded civil rights and political freedom, which was drafted in the year 1295. Clear? And thereafter these rights were given to the people. From here political awareness and consciousness began to take place in Britain. Clear? And further change in Britain took place in 1688 when a silent revolution took place known as the Glorious Revolution. And as a result of Glorious Revolution, autocratic monarchy was replaced by constitutional monarchy in Britain, and Britain started to emerge as a modern nation state. So first of all, autocratic monarchy of medieval times was eliminated by constitutional monarchy in Britain. This was one modern development in Britain. Second modern development was feudalism was well developed in Britain, in which feudal lords relied on agriculture produce of the peasants known as the serfs. Clear? And feudal lords vested the resources by constructing large number of forts or castles. Clear? Even now in Europe we will find large number of forts or castles which were basically constructed by feudal lords to show their power and glory. Clear? But that amounted to wastage of resources. Clear? In order to promote proper utilization of wealth and to maximize this wealth, clear, new ideology began to be promoted in Britain from 18th century. This ideology that was promoted in Britain for the first time, this ideology is known as mercantilism. Clear? Now what exactly do we mean by the concept of mercantilism? We need to understand. Clear? Mercantilism is an economic phenomena whereby emphasis is given to promote more and more exports to the other countries. Clear? To earn foreign exchange. Clear? And at the same time to stop imports as much as possible so that earned revenue may not go back to the other countries. Clear? So this philosophy of mercantilism believes in promoting more and more exports. Clear? So it believes in promoting more and more exports, and at the same time it believes in minimizing the imports so that foreign exchange can be retained in the country. Clear? In this phenomena, when foreign exchange is retained in the country, this is known in economy as hoarding of wealth. Hoarding. Clear? It is known as hoarding of wealth. It is also known in economy by another term, and this term is known as bullionism. Clear? You are retaining the bullions in your own country. You are hoarding the wealth in your own country by restricting the import and promoting the exports. Clear? At this point of time, large number of British traders believed in this philosophy of mercantilism. They wanted to export their products to other countries to earn major revenue, and they wanted to restrict import as much as possible. Clear? They resulted into collection of wealth known as bullionism, and this bullionism resulted into capital formation in British economy. Clear? When such huge capital came at the command of the major sections in Britain, now they wanted optimum utilization of this wealth. Clear? And to promote this optimum utilization of wealth, they promoted another philosophy based on mercantilism, which is known as capitalism. Clear? And capitalism believes that resources must be owned and controlled by that section which has the wisdom towards optimum utilization of wealth. All sections may not have that knowledge. Clear? To ensure financial prudency. Therefore, the resources should be at the command of those sections having required knowledge of optimum utilization of wealth, not the feudal lords. Clear? And that is why resources remain confined to the capitalist class or the trading classes, and these trading classes also wanted complete freedom to operate according to market principles without intervention of the state. Clear? And this philosophy to promote capitalism with no interference by the state, it was promoted by another doctrine, and this doctrine is known as laissez-faire, which was advocated by a great economist, Adam Smith, in his work The Wealth of Nations, written in 1776. According to laissez-faire, economy needs to be operated on market principles like demand and supply, not on the intervention of state or government. Clear? And from here, private traders began to operate freely without the intervention or regulation of state or government. Clear? So capitalism began to work on the principle of laissez-faire in British economy, and proper utilization of wealth began to be done by the capitalist class. Clear? This was a big setback for the feudal class in Britain. Feudal sentiments got largely affected and capitalism was on rise. Clear? Now when capitalism began to develop, marked by free trade without intervention of the state, clear, some capitalists in Britain decided they can maximize their profit by establishing trade with eastern part of the world by procuring items like spices, cotton, precious metals, clear, which could be sold at much higher prices in European market, and they can collect huge amount of wealth, leading to bullionism or hoarding, also known as capital formation. Clear? And that is why, clear, group of private traders came together in London. They established an association in 1599 which is known as merchant adventurers, clear, and to sponsor them, to provide financial support to them, class of private investors came together in London, and this class of private investors came to be known as the Court of Directors, clear. So with sponsorship provided by Court of Directors, merchant adventurers decided to come to India to organize profitable trade and to promote bullionism in their own country, that is Britain, clear. When such mechanism was decided, clear, in order to take formal permission from British monarch, clear, they approached British monarch, and at this time Queen Elizabeth gave permission to merchant adventurers to proceed towards the Eastern world, and this formal permission was given on 31st December 1600, clear. And after this, merchant adventurers began to come to India with their own resources provided by Court of Directors, who were the owners of this association sitting back in London. When they came to India, they decided to establish godowns or warehouses to keep the resources in safe custody, and also the resources purchased from Indian producers, clear. And they named these warehouses or storehouses as factories in India, clear. Factories in the context of British East India Company must not be accepted in literal sense, because literally factories means place where production or manufacturing activities are undertaken, but these places were not for any production activity. They were just to act as warehouse, storehouse for British traders, and they named them as factories in India. And they decided to establish the first factory at Surat on the western coast of India, and to take permission to establish factory, British East India Company, which was a company formed by merchant adventurers in India, this company deputed one of its officers to the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir, clear. And this British officer was Captain Hawkins, clear. He went to Jahangir's court in 1609, but Jahangir initially did not give this permission under Portuguese pressure, because Portuguese were already dominating the western coast of India, clear. British realized until this Portuguese are defeated, Jahangir will not be convinced to give permission, and therefore in 1611 British East India Company defeated the Portuguese forces in a battle known as Battle of Swally Hole. And when Portuguese were defeated, Jahangir also got convinced, and Jahangir gave permission to establish factories to British East India Company. This is clear. When was? 1611, clear. 11 was the time when permission was given. Even then we'll see they established the first factory not at Surat, they established the first factory at Masuli Patnam. Please. No, Britain became constitutional monarchy first, clear? Just because anyway, just again I'll let you know, it's a very important one, clear? If it was a private trade, what was the need to take formal permission from British monarch? That's quite obvious. Why? Any idea? Why they went forward to take permission from British monarch? Decoratory permission you can call, constitutional permission. But why that permission was required itself in the very first place? British India Company. The reason is clear. When constitutional monarchy was established because of glorious revolution in 1688, clear, constitutional monarchy means, clear, powers and authority of the monarch began to be decided by elected representatives or British parliamentarians, clear. Britain till now does not have a written constitution, clear, but at the same time parliamentary supremacy is accepted by all British in any part of the world, clear, and British Parliament is formally headed by British monarch even now, clear. So obviously to show respect to British Parliament, clear, it was mandatory to take at least formal approval from British monarch. That is why they approached British monarch, and formal permission was really granted by Queen Elizabeth, who was the monarch of Britain. Even now, that is, do remember this point, clear, since parliamentary supremacy is very much sanctified in Britain, clear, later on we'll see this parliament even began to regulate and control the affairs of this private company and court of directors in London when they began to enact legislations for India, starting with Regulating Act. Clear? It is known as Regulating Act because purpose was to regulate, control the affairs of private company and court of directors in London. Clear? So even though it was private, but they started to regulate. And what was the condition at that time? We'll come to that condition also, which was raised by company in India. So they took permission because all of them were British, and British always believes in parliamentary supremacy. And parliamentary supremacy represented by British Crown. So formal permission. Is it clear? That's a very logical thing. You need to understand. Clear? And this will help us to understand later course of development also. Clear? This is clear how the British came to. Ideologies are clear. This is very important for mains. Mercantilism is clear, followed by capitalism. Capitalism based on laissez-faire. Laissez-faire given by Adam Smith. Mercantilism means hoarding of wealth. Clear? And that is normally not taken in a very positive sense. That is basically to affect the economy at the global level by concentrating the wealth in your own hand. Clear? But mercantilism is followed by capitalism, which is very progressive in nature, whereby resources are to be optimally utilized by that section having knowledge or wisdom for proper utilization of wealth. This is known as capitalism. Clear? And capitalism in European countries even now is based on the philosophy of laissez-faire or free market with least intervention by state or government. It's clear. Ideologies are clear. First of all, ideology should be clear. Clear? Right about British. Clear? Right. Right. With modernization in Britain, with modernization in Britain, with modernization in Britain, ideology of mercantilism, emerged. Ideology of mercantilism emerged. That prescribes more and more exports. That prescribes more and more exports and less imports. More and more exports and less imports. Less imports to reserve the wealth. To reserve the wealth. That's the only way. India also did that in 1991. That Dr. Manmohan Singh, when he was the Prime Minister, because of Gulf crisis. Clear? We went for export promotion, import substitution. Clear? 1991, done by Dr. Manmohan Singh, which is known as liberalization, privatization and globalization. Clear? So laissez-faire. Clear? It's basically known as bullion. Clear? That this phenomena is also known as hoarding. Is also known as hoarding or bullionism. Is also known as hoarding or bullionism. Hoarding or bullionism that ultimately leads to hoarding or bullionism that ultimately leads to capital formation. Ultimately leads to capital formation. It's basically a saving technique. Clear? Capital formation. Clear? Right. This approach resulted into another ideology. This approach resulted into another ideology of capitalism, whereby WHEREBY, whereby resources are to be controlled, only by the section having section having required knowledge, only by the section having required knowledge for optimization of wealth. Required knowledge for optimization of wealth. Profit maximization, optimization of wealth. Capital claim that this ideology was further supported. This ideology was further supported by a British writer, Adam Smith, in his work, The Wealth of Nations. In his work, The Wealth of Nations, written in 1776. Very important work. Written in 1776. Okay? Right. In this work, he emphasized on the doctrine of laissez-faire. You will be writing this in mains answers, very important one. Clear? Emphasize on the doctrine of laissez-faire. Laissez, laissez-faire, whereby economy is to be based on market principles, based on market principles, with least intervention by the state or government. This is known as classic capitalism. Clear? Least intervention by the state or government. Doctrines are clear. Conceptually, all ideology should be very clear. Clear? State or government. This is totally different from socialism. Socialism, state plays proactive role. Here, the role of state is minimal. Clear? That is known as laissez-faire doctrine. Clear? Now, guided by this only, private trade began to be promoted. Private traders began to merge in Britain because state had nothing to do with business or trade. Clear? And guided by this only, group of private traders came together in London. They established an association known as Merchant Adventurers, and they were provided sponsorship by private investors known as Court of Directors. Clear? Remember one thing, it was a pure private trade, nothing to do with British government or parliament. Clear? So it should be kept in mind continuously, pure private trade, nothing to do with British government or parliament, and they were completely free to operate in India as they wished. Clear? That is what they went for, rampant exploitation of Indian resources, as they were not accountable even to British parliament. Clear? Because parliament or government had nothing to do with trade with India. It was purely and exclusively private in nature, guided by laissez-faire. Conceptually, you should understand how the trade began to get operated. Clear? Right here, next. Clear? Guided by the doctrine of laissez-faire. Guided by the doctrine of laissez-faire. Private traders in Britain came together. Private traders in Britain came together to establish an association, the Merchant Adventurers, the Merchant Adventurers, in 1599. Merchant adventures in 1599. And they were sponsored by group of private investors. They were sponsored by group of private investors known as the court of directors. Group of private investors known as the court of directors. There, pure private, right? The merchant adventurers were given formal permission. The merchant adventurers were given formal permission by Queen Elizabeth. Formal permission by Queen Elizabeth on 31st of December. Queen Elizabeth on 31st of December 1600. 31st of December 1600. Now change paragraph. Clear? Right. 31st of December 1600. Just in the next year itself. Clear? 1600. Clear till this point? Change paragraph. Clear? Right. The private. Right. You are tired? Right. The merchant adventurers. The private traders or merchant adventurers. Right. Next paragraph. The private traders or merchant adventurers reached India. Merchant adventurers reached India and established British East India Company. British East India Company as an exclusive private trading company. As an exclusive private trading company. The private traders or merchant adventurers came to India and established British East India Company. आप यहाँ से BEIC भी लिख सकते हैं. Clear? Established British East India Company as an exclusive private trading company. Do remember this. As an exclusive private trading company. Nothing to do with British government. Company. Private व्यापारिक company. Clear? Private trading company. निजी व्यापारिक company. Clear? Private trading company. निजी means private. Clear? निजी private company. Clear? It's clear. If you have any word, just let me know. I'll explain it. Clear? So, private trading company. This much is clear, first of all. Clear? No. Right. Next paragraph again. Next sentence again. Clear? Right. This company decided to establish. This company decided to establish factories. This company decided to establish factories in different parts of India. Factories in different parts of India. Different parts of India as a storehouse. Warehouse. As a storehouse. Storehouse. Godown. Clear? Right. Next sentence here. Very important. Clear? Assertion reason has been asked. Clear? Right. It must be noted. It must be noted that the word factory must not be taken in its literal sense. Must not be taken in its literal sense. Because no production activities were to be taken. Clear? Must not be taken in its literal sense. Clear? Right. It was decided to establish the first factory. it was decided to establish the first factory at Surat. First factory at Surat, western coast. First factory at Surat in 1609. In 1609. Clear? 1609. Right. Right. British East India Company, BEIC, British India Company, deputed its officer, Captain Hawkins. Its officer, Captain Hawkins, to the court of Mughal Emperor, to the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir, just to seek permission, to the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir. Jahangir was the ruler from 1605 to 1627. Clear? To the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir. Clear? So coming to his name, his original name was Prince Salim. Clear? Prince Salim, when he became Mughal Emperor, after the death of his father Akbar, he took the title of Jahangir. Jahangir means world conqueror. Jahan means world. Gir means conqueror. Conqueror of the world. Clear? So he took the title Jahangir to show he was conqueror of the world, even though he did not conquer anything. Clear? Self-proclaimed title taken by Jahangir as world conqueror. Most of the conquest has been done by his father Akbar. Clear? In fact, Jahangir was the weakest ruler among all the Mughals. Clear? And most of the time Jahangir was in subconscious mind because he was highly addicted to opium. Clear? Most of the time he was in subconscious mind as he was highly addicted to opium. Clear? And he was not known only for title given to him. He was known for giving titles to his wife also. Clear? He married a widow, Mehrun-Nisa. And after marriage, he gave her the title Noor Mahal. Noor Mahal means light of the palace. Clear? After some time he realized this title is not synonymous with his title. Clear? He upgraded the title of Noor Mahal to Noor Jahan, light of the whole world. Clear? Neither he was the conqueror of the whole world, nor she was the light of the whole world. Clear? So he was known for taking titles, giving titles. Clear? But at the same time, Jahangir. Clear? And Noor Jahan took full advantage of Jahangir at this time. Clear? She began to promote her own interest. Anarkali story comes because of Jahangir only. Clear? In fact, as a prince, Jahangir wanted to get married to a courtesan. Courtesan, that lady was known as Anarkali, which was not acceptable to his father Akbar. Clear? And as a revolt, Prince Salim revolted against Akbar in his lifetime only. Clear? He left the royal palace at Agra. Clear? To reconcile with his son, because Akbar really liked his son Prince Salim, because he was born after the blessings of a Sufi saint, Sheikh Salim Chishti. Clear? And that is why Akbar constructed all the monuments in his lifetime in red sandstone except one monument in pure white marble, and that is the tomb of Sheikh Salim Chishti at Fatehpur Sikri. Clear? The city was founded by Akbar. Clear? Because Akbar had respect for Sheikh Salim Chishti, because on the blessings of this Sufi saint, son was born to him known as Prince Salim. He named after the son also after the Sufi saint. Clear? But Prince Salim revolted against Akbar only. Clear? Left the royal palace. Clear? To bring back his Prince Salim back to royal fort at Agra. Clear? Akbar deputed one of his greatest ally of the Mughal court, that is Abul Fazl. Clear? Who was a great Persian writer who wrote the biography of Akbar known as Akbarnama. Clear? Abul Fazl went back to reconcile Prince Salim. But Prince Salim got Abul Fazl assassinated. Clear? And Abul Fazl was assassinated on the instructions of Prince Salim by a very prominent warrior, Bir Singh Bundela. Clear? He assassinated Abul Fazl, and that was a big setback for Akbar. And very soon Akbar health started to deteriorate, and he died in the year 1605. Clear? And thereafter he was succeeded by his son again, Prince Salim, who came to the throne with the title of Jahangir, world conqueror. Clear? He did not conquer any major things. Clear? All the conquests had already been done by Akbar. Interesting part of medieval history. Clear? So Jahangir. Clear? Initially, Jahangir did not give the permission to Captain Hawkins, and the reason was Portuguese pressure, because Portuguese still wanted to retain the control over western coast of India. Clear? British East India Company got convinced Jahangir will give permission only when Portuguese are defeated to show they are not strong enough. Clear? And in a small battle known as Battle of Swali Hole, Portuguese were defeated by the British, and thereafter again Jahangir was convinced to give permission, and that permission was given by Jahangir in 1611. Now do remember from examination perspective, clear? When this permission was given by Jahangir, British did not establish the first factory at Surat. Clear? British established the first temporary factory at Masulipatam in 1611, and then their first permanent factory at Surat in 1613. Normally there is confusion among students related to this. Make this clear, very clear. Clear? First temporary factory at Masulipatam. First permanent factory at Surat. Clear? If they don't use the terms first permanent or temporary, clear? They ask you where did the first factory was established by British? Go with the option of Masulipatam. Clear? Then the factory at Surat in the year 1613. But to make it clear, first temporary factory at Masulipatam, first permanent factory at Surat 1613. Don't get confused when you read other sources. Make this very clear. First, this was the process of establishing factories in India. It's clear? Okay. Right. However, we have written this point. Jahangir. Decision was taken to establish the first factory at Surat in 1609. The factory was established at Surat in the year 1613. Is this clear? It's very important. Clear? Right here. Clear? Right. However, Jahangir refused to give permission. However, Jahangir refused to give permission. Refused to give permission under Portuguese pressure. Under Portuguese pressure. Clear? Right. However, Portuguese were defeated. Portuguese were defeated by the British. In the military clash of Swali Hole. It's located in Surat. In the military clash of Swali Hole. In the military clash of Swali Hole in 1611. 1611. Swali Hole in 1611. Clear? Right. Consequently, Jahangir gave permission. Jahangir gave permission to establish factories. Right, very important. Clear? Right, the British East India Company. The British East India Company established their first temporary factory. Established their first temporary factory at Masulipatam. First temporary factory at Masulipatam in 1611. Masulipatam in 1611, followed by their first permanent factory, at Surat in 1613. First permanent factory Surat in 1613. From here, they established other factories also, but these are very important one to be known. Clear? So these were arrival of British, start of trade. We'll come to trade later on. Clear? We'll discuss about arrival of other Europeans. Clear? Now after British, the fourth major European power. Just understand first. Clear? After British, the fourth European power to come to India to trade with Indian territory, they comprised of traders from Denmark. Clear? Denmark is an Scandinavian country located to the northern side of the globe, and Scandinavian region is very peaceful, rather very important all across the world. A Scandinavian region includes countries like Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland. Clear? All these countries comprises a Scandinavian region to the North Sea. Clear? And these regions are still very important. Norway is known as the peace capital of the whole world. Clear? The capital city of Norway known as Oslo. Clear? All Nobel Prizes are given in Stockholm, Sweden, except one Nobel Prize, that is Nobel Prize for Peace. Nobel Prize for Peace is given at Oslo, the capital of Norway. Clear? So Oslo is regarded as the peace capital of the entire world. Clear? These are all Scandinavian region. Clear? And traders from one of these countries known as Denmark also came to India. These traders are known as Danes in India. Clear? And when Danes or traders of Denmark came to India in the 17th century, they established the first factory or first settlement in India at a place known as Tranquebar in 1620. Tranquebar is presently located in Tamil Nadu. Clear? On the Coromandel coast, they established the first settlement way back in 1620. Clear? After this, they established the second settlement much later in 1676, and this settlement was established in Bengal at a place known as Shirampur. Clear? So second major settlement of Danes was Shirampur in Bengal, and from here only the Danes started the practice of providing basic services to the people in Bengal. Clear? Basic services because they came from Scandinavia. They were very sensitive about human considerations. Clear? And they started to provide basic services like education and medical facilities to the people of Bengal. And in course of time, Shirampur emerged to be an area of philanthropist activities. Clear? And that is why large number of people who got settled down in the region of Shirampur, they provided basic amenities to the people, and under the influence, large number of Indians also accepted Christianity in course of time, and therefore the leaders of Shirampur came to be known as Shirampur missionaries. Clear? So missionary activity started to take place at Shirampur, and large number of Christians came to this region, and under the influence, large number of people even accepted Christianity in course of time. Even North Shirampur is remembered as a huge missionary center in India in the eastern part. Clear? These two were settlements of the Danes in India. After some years, clear, all these settlements were sold by the Danes to the British in the 19th century, and they left Indian territory finally. Clear? So Danes also could not have much impact on India, but one settlement is very important because large number of Christian missionaries operated at Shirampur, and that resulted into a significant number of people accepting Christianity as a faith, which is known as religious proselytization or religious conversions in India. Clear? This was the major role of the Danes in India. Clear? After Danes, the fifth and the last major power to come to India were the French traders, and French came to India in 17th century and established factories in different parts of India. Welcome to French. Danes is clear, Shirampur is clear. Clear? Very important one. Right, next paragraph. The fourth European power to reach India, the fourth European power to reach India were the traders of Denmark, also known as the Danes. Okay? Also known as the Danes, that they established their first settlement. They established their first settlement at Tranquebar. It's Tamil Nadu, Coromandel coast. They established their first settlement at Tranquebar in 1620. Tranquebar in 1620. Okay? Like their most important settlement was established at Sharampur. Their most important settlement was established at Sharampur in Bengal. Sharampur in Bengal in 1676. 1676, right? One sentence here, clear? Right, Sharampur emerged as a major. Sharampur emerged as a major center. Emerged as a major center for Christian missionaries. Major center for Christian missionaries, leading to religious conversions. Leading to religious conversions. We'll come to that. That philosophy is known as evangelicalism. Clear? We'll come to this philosophy in the British. Clear? That even resulted into religious conversions. फिर से repeat करूं मैं? Repeat मैं? Sharampur emerged to be a major center for Christian missionaries, even leading to religious conversions. Religious conversions has another term. In English, we also call this term as proselytization. Accepting other religious faith is also known as proselytization. Clear? Okay. Against this only we have a very important movement started by Swami Dayananda Saraswati known as Shuddhi movement. He wanted people to revert back to Hinduism if they accepted other religious faith, which is known in these days as Gharvapsi. Gharvapsi, clear? It's a very important thing, clear? So Gharvapsi is returning back to the original fold, clear? And for this he started a purification movement known as Shuddhi movement, clear? That is started by Swami Dayananda Saraswati, clear? So proselytization took place to some extent, no doubt, clear? So this was at Sharampur, clear? Danes, clear? The last one being the French, clear? Change paragraph. That the fifth and the last European traders, the fifth and the last European traders to arrive in India were the French. To arrive in India were the French. Now we'll understand. Clear? French is quite distinct. Clear? Just understand from here. Clear? How they are different, because you need to understand the concept here itself. Clear? The French East India Company was established primarily to trade with eastern part of the world like India. Clear? This company was established as a pure government owned company. Clear? So make this very clear. In contrast to British East India Company, which was a pure private company, French East India Company was a pure government owned company. Clear? This company was established under the French government at Paris by a very important leader known as Colbert in the year 1664. Clear? So French East India Company was established as a pure government sponsored company in 1664 by a government officer known as Colbert. Clear? And since it was established as a government company, French government at Paris sponsored this company to come to the eastern part of the world. French East India Company came to India after some time. They established the first factory at Surat. They established the first factory at Masulipatam in 1668, followed by the second factory at Surat in 1669. Clear? So in 2 consecutive years, they established 2 factories, first at Masulipatam, second at Surat in 1600, and first at Surat and second one at Masulipatam, 1668 and 1669. I'll repeat. Clear? French East India Company established the first factory at Surat in 1668, second factory at Masulipatam in 1669. Just reverse the order with the British. Clear? You have to reverse this order and remember this. Clear? After establishing this company, they also began to trade in India, but very soon, clear, contest started between British and the French. Clear? Why not with other companies? Dutch had left India, they went to Southeast Asia. Danes were not very powerful in India, and by this time Portuguese were also very weak across the world, because Portuguese power began to decline from 17th century. Clear? And therefore Portuguese could not dominate large Indian trade. Clear? So contest started between the British and the French East India Company. Why this contest began to take place? Understand the global scenario. Clear? Global scenario was that Britain and France by 18th century were arch rivals in global politics. Clear? Why they were arch rivals in global politics? Clear? Because after Britain, the second country to start industrial revolution was France. Clear? And France also began to acquire colonies in Asia, Africa and America. Clear? And that resulted into clash of interest between British and the French. Clear? Since clash of interest was not only in India, clash of interest was at global level. The two countries were meant to be arch rivals against each other. Clear? And that is why when French East India Company was established in India, this conflict of interest was visible in India as well. And this conflict of interest ultimately culminated into three major clashes between British and French East India Companies in the mid of 18th century. These clashes are known as Carnatic Wars, because these were fought in the province of Carnatic in the southern part of India. Clear? In fact, this is the first major topic of modern history, that is Anglo-French struggle known as Carnatic Wars. As they were rivals in global politics, their rivalry got manifested in India also, leading to three clashes in the mid of 18th century. We'll discuss the three classes known as Anglo-French Wars, popularly known as Carnatic Wars. Is this clear first of all? Now do understand at global level. Clear? Britain and France were arch rivals against each other for longer period of time. They remained to be arch rivals till the rise of third power, which was a challenge to both Britain and France. Clear? And this third power was Germany after unification by Bismarck. And that is why this forced Britain and France to shake hands with each other, as they needed to jointly counter the rise of Germany. Clear? And German aggression against Britain and France was the primary factor for two world wars in the 20th century, that is First and the Second World War. Clear? So they remained to be arch rivals only when they realized they are the only contestants. Clear? But when they realized third contestant has also come into picture, which was more aggressive than Britain and France, they decided to have joint operations, and therefore rivalry came to an end, because Germany was a challenge for not only Britain but even France as well. And rise of Germany was the major factor for two catastrophic wars known as World Wars in the 20th century. Clear? In GS paper 1, we have been asked this question: how far Germany can be held responsible for two world wars? Critically examined. Clear? This has been a question for mains examination. We'll discuss under world history as well. But at this point, we need to understand Britain and France were arch rivals. This rivalry resulted into three clashes within India known as Carnatic Wars, also known as Anglo-French Wars. Clear? Right, first of all, the nature of the company. Clear? Right, the French East India Company was established. The French East India Company was established as a pure government-owned company, in 1664, government-owned company in 1664 by a French officer, Colbert. So their decisions were taken not in India, their decisions were taken in Paris. Clear? French officer Colbert. Clear? Right. This trading company established the first factory at Surat. In 1668. Surat in 1668, followed by the second factory. You just have to reverse the order. Followed by the second factory at Masulipatnam. Second factory at Masulipatnam in 1669. They wanted to catch up with Britain. Clear? 1669. Why British allowed them to establish factories? Clear? See, again, the reason is clear. British had to allow them. The reason is that British still were not the rulers. Just understand one thing. Clear? We are still in 17th century. British are merely a trading company, not a political power. Clear? If they could have been a political power, they could have stopped French in the very first place. But they were still a trading company. So obviously, they could not stop or they could not allow French. They had to accept that. Clear? So French also came. They had the right to trade with India. They established the factory at Surat and then at Masulipatnam, just to give challenge to Britain, because both were arch rivals. Please. Storehouses. Because how come a foreign company can be given the right to produce the articles without the permission of ruling monarch? Clear? So they wanted to use them only as godowns, only as warehouses, no production activities. Clear? So word factory here also cannot be taken in its literal sense. Clear? So factory established by French. Clear? First factory at Surat, 1668. Second factory at Masulipatnam, 1669. You just have to reverse. It's clear. Okay, now write one sentence. Now? Yeah. Why they gave permission? Because Mughal emperors by this time was giving this. Who was the Mughal emperor at this time? The Mughal emperor was 1668. The Mughal emperor at this time was Aurangzeb. Clear? Jahangir was followed by Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan was followed by Aurangzeb. Clear? Aurangzeb was ruling in India. Why Mughals were giving the permission? First of all, because this trade at this time was beneficial for Indian producers also. Clear? Because Indian producers were getting lucrative prices from all companies. Clear? So they were giving spot prices to the products like spices and cotton, taking those products to the open market, selling them a higher profit and earning profit. But in meanwhile, Indian producers also earn huge profit by selling the products. So obviously Mughals realized it is suited to India's interest also. They allowed them to establish factories. So open field was given to all Europeans in India. It's clear, huh? Please. Colbert ने? Colbert was a person, वो एक सरकारी अफसर थे, उन्होंने 1660 में उन्होंने अप्रूव नहीं किया था, अप्रूव किया था फ्रांसीसी सरकार ने पेरिस में. Approval was given by French government. Idea was given by Colbert. Colbert was just an officer. Clear? Okay, write one sentence here. Clear? Right. With arrival of the French, clash of interest started with the British. As Britain and France were arch rivals, like India and Pakistan. Britain and France were arch rivals, ARCH, bitter rivals, arch rivals in European politics. Arch rivals in European politics. Clear? Right. This rivalry resulted into three major clashes between the two companies. Which are known as the Carnatic Wars. They were fought in Carnatic, South India, which are known as the Carnatic Wars. In fact, this is the first major topic from mains examination. Clear? Mains examination syllabus starts from here. Clear? Carnatic Wars. Clear? Now just understand. Very important one. Clear? It's clear? Now just understand. Clear? First of all, I'll let you know. Clear? Carnatic was just a province, even though independent, clear, that came under the overall control of a large province in South India known as Hyderabad. Clear? We'll come to the establishment of independent state of Hyderabad during the reign period of later Mughals. Clear? And within Hyderabad, it was a Suba. It was a province of Hyderabad only known as Carnatic, where these clashes took place. Clear? 3 clashes took place. Among these 3 clashes, clear, 2 clashes were not because of India. 2 clashes were just echo or reverberation of clash between Britain and France in Europe. Clear? When the 2 countries began to fight in Europe on major issues, clear, the 2 companies in India also began to fight. So 2 major Carnatic wars were just a reverberation, just an echo of the European conflict between Britain and France. Only one Carnatic war was because of conditions prevailing within India. Clear? So we need to understand the first one. Clear? The first Carnatic war was primarily the reflection of European conflict between Britain and France. Clear? In the year 1740, the ruler of Austria in Europe died. Clear? Austria was a large country at that time. Clear? And when the ruler of Austria died, clear, Britain wanted its own candidate to take the charge of Austria. France wanted its own representative to take the charge of Austria. Clear? That resulted into conflict of interest, and this led to war between Britain and France, which is known as Austrian War of Succession. Clear? So Austrian War of Succession started between Britain and France in 1740. Clear? For some time, the 2 companies remained peaceful in India, but after some years, clear, when the war was still going on in Europe, the 2 companies in India also could not resist, and they also began to fight against each other, leading to First Carnatic War from 1742 onwards. Clear? They went on fighting in India without any conclusive result because issue was not related to India. Clear? This war of succession in Europe came to an end between Britain and France through a treaty which is known as Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. Clear? Aix-la-Chapelle is a place near Paris where the treaty was signed, and as per the terms of the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, Britain and France stopped fighting in Europe, and as per this treaty, the 2 companies were also instructed to stop fighting in India. Clear? So as per Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, the war between French and British India Company in India also came to an end. That concluded the First Carnatic War. Clear? So this war had nothing to do with India. It was a pure phenomenon of Europe reflected in India. It was neither started because of Indian scenario nor ended with a treaty in India. Rather, treaty signed way back in Europe known as Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. Clear? This First Carnatic War. Clear? Right, next paragraph. Clear? The First Carnatic War. The First Carnatic War was just an echo, ECHO, was just an echo of European conflict, just an echo of European conflict between Britain and France. European conflict between Britain and France. Clear? Right, the 2 countries started the Austrian War of Succession. The 2 countries started the Austrian War of Succession in 1740. Now this is mid 18th century. Clear? In 1740. Clear? Right. After some time, their respective trading companies, also started to fight. The respective trading companies also began to fight in India. Right, this war ended in Europe. This war ended in Europe through the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. Through the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle in 1748. Through the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. It's a place near Paris. Clear? Through the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle in 1748. That also concluded the first Carnatic War in India. That also concluded the first Carnatic War in India. Carnatic War in India. Clear? So no conclusive development. It was a pure echo of European phenomena. Clear? No, 1740. The war started thereafter only. Clear? Now after this, clear? Austrian Revolution was no conclusive result took place. Austria was having a dynasty known as Habsburg dynasty. One member of Habsburg family only decided to take the charge, so conflict ended on equal footing. Clear? So it did not give edge either to Britain or to France. Clear? Now after this, clear? Second Carnatic War was fought primarily because of domestic political situations within India. Clear? Third Carnatic War again because of European phenomena. Clear? Now second Carnatic War needs to be understood elaborately because complex political equations took place both in Hyderabad and Carnatic. That created ground for second clash, which was purely based on domestic political situation of India, and that continued from 1749 till 1754. Almost for 5 years, clear, in which the leading role was played by the most powerful French governor in India, Francois Dupleix, clear, and the most important role on the part of British was played by its governor, Robert Clive. Clear? So it was the real clash of titans in India at this time because both were equally powerful at this time. Dupleix on the one side, Robert Clive on the other side, and both wanted to dominate the politics of South India, and they started to play the game of manipulations and divisive politics in Hyderabad and Carnatic. Clear? We'll come to political equations that resulted into Second Carnatic War due to domestic situations both in Hyderabad and Carnatic. Clear? Till this point, from here, we'll continue tomorrow. Timing is till 8 o'clock, right? 2.5 hours is very less time. Clear? Okay. Clear. So, clear? Oh, yeah, please. What is the 1742 to 48, First Carnatic War. They started to fight in Europe. In India, they started to fight from 1742. Clear? Anything to be asked? Was everything clear to all of you? Yes, conceptually, everything is clear. Sequentially, it is arranged. Fine, clear. We will just continue from here tomorrow. Clear? Okay, just relax. Stay with the class and class notes. Clear? Don't have to worry. Don't run after here and there. Clear? We'll cover all important things in the class itself. Clear? Okay, just you do one thing after going back, just revise once or twice. It won't take half an hour. And at the same time, look into previous year papers. That maximum. Clear? Meanwhile, we'll be discussing previous year papers in the class also. Clear? We'll continue from here tomorrow. Thank you.